The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Canuck fans in Kelowna, this one's for you.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks Raider currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's episode, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks. Do you know why? Of course you do, because it is your Canucks every damn day. We're part of that Locked On Podcast Network. They're doing the most for sports fans across the world. And for our show, if you haven't done so already, what are you waiting for? Make sure you go subscribe, like, follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Kelowna, BC, man, it's where a lot of NHLers make their home in the offseason. But we're going to talk about a guy who's actually born and raised in Kelowna, and that is Justin Schultz. And, you know, on the home of the West Coast bias here, Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. You know, we like to shout out the BC Buds. And does it make sense for this BC Bud to join the Vancouver Canucks? Let's break it down and kick off this episode of Locked On Canucks. We'll also talk about some other potential PTO candidates, and we may even talk about our favorite PTOs from the past. But before we do that, let me introduce someone who I might give him a PTO to my ball hockey team next year. Kyle Bowen.
Ooh, you guys don't need me though, man. You guys won a championship. Anyways,
Kyle
Bowen,
man. You're better than me. So it's all
anyways,
good.
Kyle Bowen, Trevor Beggs, doing our thing, talking more and more about the Canucks, man. August 19th, figuring out things to talk about. And here we are talking about this BC Bud. You know who my favorite BC Bud is, or what my favorite BC Bud is? It's orange mud pie. You ever have some orange mud pie before? You ever had that, BC Bud?
What the hell is orange mud?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get it right. Okay, there you go, man. It's 420 somewhere. Anyways, Justin Schultz, PTO maybe. Hey, NHL 25 coming out next month. Quinn Hughes, cover boy for that thing. Is he going to have like a Madden curse / NHL cover boy curse coming his way? Who knows? We'll talk about that towards the end of the show because me and Trevor are 31 and a half years old. And we're not there yet. We're not always playing video games, okay? We want to, but we can't. We got work to do, and we got this to do, and that's assume more players being signed by the Vancouver Canucks. Is that even possible? You even look at the Canucks defense; they got 7 guys signed. Can they afford to bring a PTO guy in? Don't they want to take an extra look, even though it's not going to really matter at a guy like DPD? You know what I'm saying? Like some other guys. And here we are talking about PTOs. Justin Schultz, 34 years old. If you didn't hear this, 34 is the new 46 in the NHL, and Trevor Beggs and I are going to talk about how this guy, again, the Kelowna boy, the BC Bud, deserves a PTO. Why is that? Can you see it happening? All of the above. Trevor Beggs, take it away.
Man, oh man, I like how you're leading with me because I feel like you've been on the Justin Schultz train since like June 20th. But, Justin Schultz is a guy who I still think can contribute to an NHL team. So, I wasn't really a big fan of signing him necessarily in free agency, but now that we're at the, PTO Boulevard time of year, I think it could make some sense to bring on Schultz at a PTO. And I mean, you look at his stats from last season and, I think he had 7 goals and 26 points, which, for the minutes he played, that's not bad production. It's funny when we look at plus minus 23 isn't great, but actually his defensive underlying metrics were pretty solid, right? This is a guy who really, when he was on the ice, seems to be let down by bad goaltending. But, overall, I mean, again, I think we're at the time of year where it can make sense to put Justin Schultz in the PTO. And a big reason for that is because, I'm not quite sure, and this might be a theme throughout this episode. I feel like I'm picking on Tyler Myers, but I don't know how much better Tyler Myers is than Justin Schultz.
Whoa.
The guy that we just gave, a 3-year, $3 million deal to. Obviously, Myers has more physicality and the more PK experience. But I look at a guy like Schultz last year, and ironically, despite the 7 goals and 26 points, if you start digging into the highlights and some of the numbers, he actually, for the opportunities he was getting, wasn't great on the offensive side. Basically, probably should have done a bit more offensively based on the sheltered matchups and the opportunities. And defensively, he was better than his minus 23 suggests. So, I'm kind of into it. Bring the BC Bud home, man. I'm a fan of the BC Buds.
Isn't like Tyler Myers sort of kind of from Kelowna as well? Am I right
Yeah,
about
he
that?
makes his off-season home in Kelowna. Yeah.
Damn, Kelowna versus Kelowna here. Okay, before we go into like all Justin Schultz, because again, Trevor just said a lot about him. All I'm really going to go into is the whole Pittsburgh thing, and just again, what Trevor just ran off with the whole Myers debate. Okay, can we just slow down and give Myers some credit? Like, can we do that? Can you and I, Trevor Beggs and Kyle Bound on Locked On Canucks do that? Because I feel as if we never really ever do that. And Game 6 and Game 7 still stuck in my mind against the Edmonton Losers. I guess I should just call them the Oilers because they did beat us. But that team, and I wasn't really impressed with what Myers did, and it's scaring me to see a future where Rick Tocchet, Adam Foote still continue to rely on Tyler Myers and Carson Soucy to play tough matchups and go up against Connor McDavid when we play the Oilers. Like, that's kind of scary to me because, again, on paper, Myers, especially to some hockey nerds, he looks sexy. You know what I'm saying? Look at his height. Look at the way he can skate, blah, blah, blah. He's a guy you want to get the best out of, but I'm not sure, again, if I want the Canucks pressing that button a lot. Trevor Beggs, can you just, again, play on Myers' team for a bit, okay? Can you just be nice to him? Do it analytically, because are we blind? Are we stupid? Are we being mean to, again, the other sort of kind of BC Bud?
You know what? You got to give ourselves some credit, too, because we did do an episode, and you'd have to scroll back on the feed to this. Every Dares would know it, but you'd have to scroll back about how we were a couple Canuck fans that needed to apologize to Tyler Myers.
True.
And here I am falling back into my old habits.
Yeah,
poo-pooing on the guy a little bit. I look at some of the smart work that the Canucks did this summer, and 3 years, $3 million for a guy who I think is probably best as a bottom pairing defenseman. It's a little rich. It's not the worst contract in the world, but all I'm saying, and maybe I'm complimenting Justin Schultz more than I'm putting down Tyler Myers, although I'm probably doing a bit of both. I just don't think Justin Schultz is that much of a different player than Tyler Myers in terms of his on-ice impact. I mean, different style, different players stylistically, of course. But again, you look at this team, and you got a lot of slow, big, slow guys, physical guys on the bottom four of that defense. And that's why I think there should be at least a curiosity to add a guy like Justin Schultz to this team, just to give a different dynamic. Because, of course, even behind Forbort and Darnay, you got, Noah Juleson, and then you get into like the AHL depth, right? So, really you have, after Hughes and Hronik, 5 big physical defensemen who don't move the puck very well. You're kind of lacking something on the back end right now. And Justin Schultz, again, on a PTO could be a cheap way to see if there's some a fit there during the preseason. Yeah,
and just to add on to what Trevor said, like I think Carson Soucy can move the puck well, but at the end of the day, Carson Soucy at best is a top 4 defenseman. He's not a top 3 defenseman, and he's being complemented by Tyler Myers, who, again, I believe is like at best 4.5, a number 5. Again, is Justin Schultz going to sign here or get a PTO and make the team become that ultimate 4? Even that's a stretch. Like that's not really raising the bar. Like that's hoping that, again, Tocchet and Alvin can retransform this guy into the Pittsburgh him. Even though he's not a bad defenseman right now, just, again, a better Justin Schultz. That's a bit of a stretch. Trevor, we're about to learn this, man. Life don't get greater past the age of 34, man. Bro, straight up, man. It's like your toes stop working. That's what I heard. Your toes and pinky stop working. You ever think about what your toes and pinky do, and you're like, oh, why are they even here? And at 34, we're going to learn, bro. We're going to learn. Our balance is going to be all over the place. Anyways, Justin Schultz, one of those 34-year-olds, but I just feel as if maybe, just maybe, and this is me going crazy here, signing him to a PTO in August, maybe it just pushes guys like Forbort, Darnay, and Tyler Myers, and Noah Juleson to get their ish together ASAP. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't going to be easy to get these minutes, and it's about internal competition, and I'm curious to see how much. And again, Tyler Myers, I don't want to judge this guy's character. By all means, I feel as if that's why this guy sticks around, because he's a leader. He sees the game right. He's a man. He's got integrity. But I don't know how scared he is of losing minutes, considering who's behind him, because it's not Zadorov. It's not even Ian Cole. You know what I'm saying? It's Forbort, Darnay, and Juleson, all guys that like are 7th defensemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make 2 points quick here. And the first one, let's shout out, one of the best commenters over the summer here. Vancouver is my life. And we might got another comment from him we'll get to later. But talks about Vincent Desharnais is not that slow. He has one of the fastest straight line speeds on the Oilers. So I was just looking this up on edge.nhl.com, the NHL Edge data. And during the playoffs, he was one of the slowest guys, and which matched my eye test. Because I remember watching this guy in the playoffs thinking, man, oh man, this guy has trouble moving around the ice. But actually in the regular season, in terms of his top skating speed, he was up in like the 20th percentile. He's in the top 20% in terms of fastest NHLers in terms of his top speed. So that really surprised me. I haven't seen that version of Desharnais, so shout out to Vancouver's My Life for that comment there. And the second point I want to make is that, Kyle, you mentioned it, right? Bring someone in training camp to push this defense to be better. Because right now, as it is the glaring weakness on the Canucks. Whether it's Justin Schultz or somebody else, I think they should bring someone in. Now, as we get to the other side here, let's talk about a couple other PTO candidates, okay? Is Justin Schultz the number one PTO target for your Vancouver Canucks? Or is there someone else they should bring in? Maybe even another BC Bud. Who knows? Who knows, okay? We'll chat about that on the other side after we show our friends over at eBay Motors. Right, if you're an everydayer or an occasional listener, you know the deal. It's passion, it's drive, and it's patience. That's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and a robot rolling kit. What? Oh my goodness. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from for your ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, baby. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Woo! Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible only, exclusions by eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers.
People, we are back doing this, and that's talking about professional tryouts in your Vancouver Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. We're both 31 and a half years old, so it would mean a lot if you hit the like button and subscribe, because, again, bro, some people saying in the comments, don't sign Justin Schultz. He's 57 years old, a.k.a. 34, and you and I are going to be there, and, bro, like, you know how much, like, you know how the price of a green pepper, it's like people are up in arms in Canada. Canada's not the same. It doesn't feel the same. The energy's not the same. And people are just looking at the grocery stores as the reason why this place is just burning down, okay? Trevor, do you know how much it costs to install an elevator into your house? Bro, you're about to be 34, bro. Like, these things, you got to start considering. Brett Beggsy, you're in the industry. You got to plan ahead, okay, in this thing called your life. So if you hit the like button, subscribe, me and Trevor can just get there sooner and climb up those stairs as we age in this thing called life. Now, I will say this. I'm about to throw it over to Beggsy. He's got a list of other PTO candidates. And I'm just going to guess that like 70% of these candidates are over the age of 30. Am I correct on that or not?
I think you're probably about right. So I do have 7 names here. And I think, yeah, you know what? It's about, I think there's 3 over 30, 1 who is exactly 30, and 3 under 30. So a bit of a mixed bag here. And, yeah, again, smash that like button, because elevators, man, they do cost about 30 grand. My friend got one installed for 30 grand in their house. It's a good chunk of change.
That's not bad. Elevator in your house, 30 grand? Cool. Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, so how about we do it this way, Kyle? I'm going to go through the defenseman first, and we'll do forward second if you're cool with that. So I'm just going to toss out 4 names here, okay? One of them, he was teammates with Derek Forbort last year. He's Kevin Shattenkirk with the Boston Bruins last year. Very similar to Justin Schultz in my mind, right? Like, Kevin Shattenkirk's a year older. He played in a diminished role last season. Actually, pretty good underlying numbers when he did not play with Derek Forbort. But again, just bringing a different element to that blue line. Also Tyson Barrie. And Tyson Barrie, again, he's bounced around a bit. 1 goal, 15 points in 40-something games last year. But a BC Bud, okay? They also got Gustav Lindstrom. He's only 25 years old, spent most last season with the Anaheim Ducks, also played with the Montreal Canadiens. And finally, the 13th overall pick in 2015, Jakub Zaborov, who another member of the Czech Republic, just like Filip Hronek. The two actually played together internationally for the Czech Republic on a couple of occasions. So I know it's PTO season. Nothing's real sexy when you're talking about a PTO, but Kyle, is any of those 4 names stand out to you there?
Not really.
No, Justin Schultz.
Not really.
Guy, eh?
I guess Justin Schultz is my guy. You know, I'd have to like watch the Shattenkirk film. He seems like a good like locker room type of guy. An easy ad. I don't know. Like I feel as if the fit with Justin Schultz based on some of that West Coast bias. I know he ditched the Canucks way back in the day. I know he had a chance to join the Canucks when Gillis was still around, but he chose someone else. I think he chose the Oilers. But at the end of the day, like, I just, it'd be cool to have more BC buds on the team. And this BC bud, Justin Schultz, like, he's familiar with these guys, right? Talking. I think the motivation from within, if a guy like that gets signed, knowing that, oh, this guy's also got the back, like the coach also has his back as well, can again push guys like Myers. This all comes down to pushing Myers, man. I know he got the term and he got a little bit of money too. I know he's not making nearly as much as he was early in his tenure with the Vancouver Canucks, but I feel as if a push for that guy is so important because we've seen top 4 Tyler Myers before. We've seen what happens when he gets responsibility, bro. People are looking at last year like, oh, but what about Tyler Myers last year? What about Tom? Dude, for the most part, like, he was number 5, number 6. You get what I'm saying? There was more balance. And right now we're walking into a season where there's not that balance. And this guy is going to be asked to be that shiny toy that I think Foote and Tocchet think he is, or the league thinks he is, right? There's a reason why they gave him that term and the money, because they had a feeling somebody was going to snatch him up ASAP. So, like, which one of those guys that you mentioned can push Myers to make sure he brings it, man? Because we're relying a lot on this guy. Go ahead and say what you want about the Canucks maybe improving that position from within, but like, we saw how much structure and the puzzle pieces fitting together helped the Canucks get off to a good start and build those pillars of momentum. We've only done that for 1 year. You know what I'm saying? And now we're going to give the guy known for chaos even more responsibility. It's just like, okay, I'm not confident, but okay.
Yeah, I think I do wonder how much this coaching staff is just hoping and praying that they can turn Vinny D into a top 4 defenseman, which is an absolutely scary thought in my mind, especially based on what we saw in the playoffs. But to that comment from Amphimus right there, Alvin and Rutherford are cooking up something spicy. And, I don't know if it's a spicy Swedish meatball or maybe a defenseman jambalaya, but something's happening.
Damn.
It's going to happen here with your Vancouver Canucks and this defense. And I think, again, we talked about it yesterday on that episode when we talked about the Podkolzin trade. Go check that one out if you haven't already. We're 2 minutes into the episode. We had to react to it. But I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's this week or at training camp or mid-season, but they're going to make a move on this defense. I can almost see it. Unless this coaching staff absolutely works miracles and Susie turns into a number 3 and Vinny turns into a top 4. But that just feels like I'm smoking too much of that, whatever you call it, the orange mud pie or whatever you could.
Orange mud pie, straight from the Fraser Valley. You know what they do before they sell it? They just spray a little bit of that all-natural Febreze over it for that smell. All natural, though. Anyways, man, again, Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bound, August 19th, talking about the Canucks, blah, 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 and just finding ways to poo-poo on Tyler Myers, a.k.a. Doubt-A Dude, who's, again, improved last year. Shouldn't we be nicer? Like, what's going on with us, man? I feel as if we're turning into assholes. Like, are we just passionate? Or we just want everything to work out? And again,
we're scared, man. For me personally, I'm scared. I'm scared about the defense the way it's constructed right now. I really am, man.
You are.
This team has legitimate Stanley Cup aspirations, and they're going to roll into the season with Susie, Myers, Forborn, and Desharnais in their bottom 4. Like, are you gonna play Hughes and Hronek 40 minutes a night? Like, come on, man. Come on, figure it out, Alvin. Get it done.
Okay, so
stuff.
The more and more you keep screaming that out loud, the more and more I just again become to get to a place where I'm all over the place as usual. But one of those places that I do get to is the realization that, again, you could see it happen immediately where like Hughes and Hronek are not playing together, and now the concern is not like, oh, who's our number 4 defenseman? It's like, who's going to play with Quinn Hughes, like Vincent Desharnais? Like, bro, the options are slim for the Vancouver Canucks. After I'm going to say Susie, Hronek, and Hughes, but after that, it's literally, bro, it's chaotic. It actually is chaotic. Like, I feel as if one strength for the rest of those guys, I guess you could put Myers in this boat too, even though he is a bit chaotic on the penalty kill, is just that. Like, oh, they're great penalty killers. They're great shot blockers. Well, dude, okay, thank you. But can you make a first pass, you know? Can this team who wants to quote unquote open it up, right? They want to lean more into leaning into the skill set at the top of their lineup, especially with the 4 group, a team that wants to get the most out of Elias Pettersson, right? They want to be better in transition. Like, they got trees. 4, 5, 6, 7. Can those guys make it easy for not only for the puck to get out, but can they be efficient offensively? You know what I'm saying? In the defensive zone, make a good first pass. Like, I'm talking about a crispy one that's that just oozes like momentum going the other way. Like, oh, it's about, there's going to be a transition here. Boom, back. You know what I'm saying? Can they do that? And the answer to me right now is no.
Yeah, and again, I think so. We're talking about some offensively inclined blue liners coming to this team. I will say for me, in terms of this PTO conversation on defense, Schultz and Shattenkirk to me interchangeable. I actually think Shattenkirk was maybe a tad better last season. I mean, he played for a better team. He's also 48 games away from hitting 1,000 in his career, so I think there's some motivation for him to actually hit the 1,000 game mark. So I think Shattenkirk will give it one last kick at that can, more or less. Not really a fan of Tyson Barrie in his game last year. Actually, Gustav Lindstrom's a guy I kind of like that does a lot of things kind of well. He skates well. He hits. Just is obviously not a great defenseman, but
related to Nick Lidstrom or what? Is he related to Nick Lidstrom?
No, his last name is Lindstrom. Sorry to let you down.
Okay.
In terms of my power rankings, let's go. I'm going to go Shattenkirk, then Schultz, then Lindstrom, and I'll have the bottom of Barrie and Zaboril in terms of PTO targets for Canucks. Let's touch on forwards very quick. I just got 3 names here. Got Chris Tierney, last season spent with the Devils.
Nope.
Definitely a fourth line player, but really good penalty killer, can take faceoffs. Rem Pitlick, who, this guy I feel like is a disrespected dude. He's got like 50 something. I think he's got like 51 points in 130 NHL games, like pretty decent production. Just can never carve out that full-time role. Only 9 NHL games last season. Only 27 years old. Rem Pitlick is a guy who's currently without a contract. And last but not least, one more BC bud for you, okay? And it's Jujhar Khaira. Okay, 6'4", 215, the pride of Surrey, BC. Nope. Bring him in a PTO. Let's see what he can do.
You know what? I'm going to rebuttal to that after the break, okay? Because I'm about to go in on you that you would even take the time to mention those names. Anyways, Bagsy, before I do that, who we shouting out on this episode of Locked On Canucks?
All right, let's wrap up the show on the other side after we shout out our friends over at Indeed. Beach season, bikini season, Speedo season is almost over. And you know what that means? It's time to start looking for a job, or it's time to start hiring. And if you're doing either of those things, you got to use Indeed. And if you need to hire, you need Indeed. They are your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data. And they have a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. So ditch that busy work and use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed just doesn't help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. One of the things I love about Indeed is, like I said, that word fast. They are so fast, they make fast things look not fast, okay? Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences daily, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of the show, guess what? You'll get a $75 sponsored job credit. What? To get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about it. Indeed, on Locked On Canucks. Go to Locked On.
What up? What up? What up? We back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. Hit the like button, subscribe to the show. Christmas is coming up, and I'm trying to get my wife a water bottle. Okay, bro, here's another thing too, okay? You know about the Stanley Cup, right? The Stanley Cup that we love, that we grew up with, is like the second most important Stanley Cup in the world, apparently, when it comes to numbers and attention, right? Because there's that other Stanley Cup, that $180 water bottle that keeps your water cool for 14 days. You hear about that? I'm trying to get my girlfriend that, okay? Every time I get a like on this video, I get closer and closer to getting my girl a Stanley Cup. Trevor, now speaking of Christmas, okay? Now before we're gonna get to the comments, and we're gonna get into like why the Canucks don't need to give a PTO option to an effing forward, okay? I'm about to rip Trevor apart. Christmas again coming up around the corner. Back in the day, Christmas is right there, and you probably know there's a good chance that you're gonna get like an NHL video game for Christmas, and that's a beautiful thing. I want to get back to that place in my life where, again, I'm playing video games and I can, look forward to playing the new EA Sports version of it, even though every game is the same. Real talk. Like over the last 7 or 6 years, like every game is the same. There's nothing different. There's no different. Okay. But there's something a little unique about it this time around, or something special, something West Coast. And that's Quinn Hughes possibly donning the cover with Luke and Jack, because a trailer leaked out. Your colleague Noah Strang, bro, EA Sports probably hates this guy, okay? Real talk, okay? Look up the tweet. Look at the video that he leaked out, okay? Before it was supposed to go out. Anyways, Quinn Hughes featured a lot in that little trailer for EA Sports NHL 25 alongside his brothers. Trevor, are you going to buy the game? And B, are you scared that he's going to have a bit of a curse for being a cover athlete? Is the NHL video game cover thing a curse? Can we go through like the history of who's been on it? Because I know that's the case maybe with Madden. Well, it was prior to the day. Anyways, are you going to get the game, and are you concerned? Answer the question.
I'm not getting the game because my most up-to-date video game system is an Xbox 360, and I think the last game they made for that was NHL 15. So I'm a long ways behind. I got kids, man. Okay, my gaming is few and far between, man. All right, so and am I worried about the curse? No, not really. I mean, look, Vlad. Like I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, let's see the past few years. Look, like Connor McDavid was on it. I guess, he hasn't won a couple. Vlad Tarasenko made it on in NHL 17. He won a couple years later. Jonathan Toews, Patrice Bergeron. I mean, like, you got some goats on there. I'm not really worried about no curse.
Kyle McCarr, I think. Maybe like Nathan McKinnon's been on it. Who knows? Austin Matthews. Again, this guy's doing it. There's no such thing. Okay, so this is going to be cool. Okay, the last time a Canuck was on the cover of that video game, I was still very young. I think I was like 18 or 19. Or 17, and I met Henrik and Daniel Sedin. They signed a copy for me. It was like a special version, a special cover of it in Burnaby and Metrotown, okay? But prior to that, it was Marcus Naslund, and now we have Quinn Hughes. So it's cool, man. If Quinn Hughes, again, puts up 100 points this season, we're going to start using the term generational talent around this guy, and this type of cachet with the EA Sports cover on a video game. It's pretty cool. It's pretty special for a guy that's literally changed the perspective of who he is in NHL lore over the last 12 to 13 months. I think you and I know that this guy has it. We've known it forever. We've known it from day one, but the league, like, they kind of realized it again over the last 12 months. And I wonder what he's thinking. Okay. He's looking behind him, behind Hronek and him. I wonder what he's thinking when it comes to who he has behind him on this decor. Like, is he confident because he's a stoic captain, or is he like, talk it? Before we get another guy, just playing me 28 minutes a game.
I think he's got that confidence for sure, right? And why would you doubt him? He's the reigning Norris Trophy winner. He's the best defenseman in the NHL. But I do think there's a part of it where, Quinn Hughes, was he as good in the playoffs as he was during the regular season? I'm not quite sure, right? Like there was a bit of trepidation, a bit of physicality in the playoffs. It took some getting used to. So, I think what you want is a well-rounded defense. I mean, I don't care if you got the best defenseman in the NHL. You still got to play. He's still not on the ice for the majority of the game, even if it's close to half. So you got to have a good defense around him. Now, Kyle, I did want to bring up one other name to you that we had in the comments here. This comes from NuckFan77. He thinks that a name that would be a better fit in the Canucks top four is Tony DeAngelo. Okay, the infamous
Tony DeAngelo.
So he's coming off a hand injury, but 5 years younger, right shot D, younger than Schultz, and half the cap hit. I think they come in at the same cap hit. They'd be close to league minimum. But what are your thoughts on Tony DeAngelo potentially coming to the Canucks on T2?
I thought Tony DeAngelo already signed with the Edmonton Oilers, man. I thought
he seems like that kind of guy, right?
I feel like DeAngelo is an Albertan name, isn't it? Didn't it originate from Alberta?
I thought it came from Italy, but that's just me.
Anyways, he's not signing with the Canucks, man. Like look at Tony DeAngelo and then just walk around Vancouver, okay, bro. It wouldn't be 2011 all over again in the streets, but dude, okay, not gonna happen. And honestly, he's just not the player type. Okay, Justin Schultz. I think people he's quote unquote offensive, blah blah blah. When he was going into the league, that was kind of his specialty. But during his time in Pittsburgh, during that 2-year stretch, or that time when he was just, being successful as an important player on that decor, he was more than just the offensive guy. Like there was just a balance. I think that's the best way to describe it in his play. Maybe 30 points and like just doing his thing would be the most you'd get out of Schultz if he signed with the Canucks this season. But again, if he was able to make a good first pass, really good on transition, and just solid defensively, like a level above Ian Cole, I think that would bode well for, again, just adding competition to this decor where I think it's really needed.
Yeah, 100%. That's pretty much what Aaron Gray's saying here. The Pride of Surrey. Sign all the defensemen to PTOs that you can. Throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Hey, just sign them all, man. Everyone we listed, all 5, all 6 defensemen today, sign them all to PTOs. It'll be a rip-roaring time at Canucks training camp. Let's go.
Okay. So Aaron Gray, we got to listen to this guy because he's the best ball hockey GM of all time. We're hoping to get this guy on the show because, again, there's something that we can take with what Aaron did in May of his ball hockey tenure as a GM this year and use it to teach Alvin what to do if things go a little south. Anyways, Trevor, okay, you brought up some forwards that could be getting the PTO nod for the Vancouver Canucks. Are you effing serious, bro? You want me to break my computer screen right now? If the Canucks sign anyone to a PTO that's playing forward at the same time in which they also chose to give the Oilers Podkolzin for a 4th-round pick, I'll be choked. I was thinking more about this, Trevor. I'm not happy with this, bro. I'm not happy with it. Trade him for a 5th-round pick to the Islanders. Trade him for is there a 7th-round pick in the NHL anymore? Trade him for one of those things to like, I don't know, Atlanta or Utah. You know what I'm saying? The Oilers, really? You couldn't get any, like, you know what I'm saying? Really, a 4th-round pick? You had to do it. You had to give the Oilers maybe like a $4,000 winning lottery ticket. You know what I'm saying? One of those guys, just even if he turns out to be a good 4th liner, why just do that for the Oilers? You know what I'm saying? Am I speaking any sense? All that being said, again, the Canucks cannot afford literally to sign any other forward and give them a tracksuit, okay, and a hotel room. Like, don't be spending your money there. Real talk. Send someone to a hockey game that hasn't been there yet. Make more use of your money.
All right, 2 thoughts on this, and let's get out of here, okay? First and foremost, I do wonder, were the Canucks actually trying to screw over the Oilers? They're trying to sign a couple guys, and the Canucks are like, here, just add $1 million to your cap book. Says you're trying to re-sign your 2 guys. It's no big deal. He's a former top 10 pick.
Or like, yo, you guys don't need Dylan Holloway. You guys can get similar impact with a guy like Podkolzin. Move off of him and just take Podkolzin. Yo, I know dude. I like what you're saying. Okay, what was the second thing you're about to say, man? Okay.
In terms of the PTO forwards, not necessarily about them making the team, but it's kind of a couple things, what you alluded to before. Pushing guys at training camp, but also just having some AHL depth as well, right? Like, I look at the guys that, let's say, Chris Tierney, Jujhar Khaira, Rem Pitlick, all guys that would probably go through waivers and all guys that could add depth to this team moving forward. I don't really care that they signed a bunch of forwards and that they traded Podkolzin. You can still use extra bodies in camp to push the rest of the team and or be AHL depth during the season.
I wonder if there was another level of like psychology or another part of psychology on this spectrum that Alvin was trying to use by giving somebody to the Oilers from that dressing room. But I'm going to need a thesis and some therapy to think about that, okay? A couple comments before we get out of here. Zarfi, I can't put this comment on the board, but he's saying that he doesn't want anything to do with Justin Schultz, okay? He's like, I think we're forgetting that Rick Tocchet, Sergei Gonchar, Adam Foote are going to coach the hell out of Forbert and VD and Noah Juleson and Tyler Myers again. Maybe Tyler Myers at the age of 34 can get better. We don't need Justin Schultz. In fact, he said F Justin Schultz, man. He said F Justin Schultz, okay? That's something else, man. That's something else. Anthem is saying professional tryouts and are for those who don't make it. It's like paid time off. You never know. You never know. Well, there was one time where I was really upset that Brendan Morrison didn't make the team, and I'm pretty sure he had a strong seat. Like his second time around with the Canucks, it was on a PTO. The Canucks cut him, and I'm pretty sure, or didn't cut him. I think Calgary beat him to the punch and actually signed him.
Yeah,
and Brendan Morrison and Brendan Morrison had a strong season. Like he still finished the season pretty good. He was decent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, middle 6 numbers. Yeah, it wasn't bad for a PTO guy for sure. Yeah, that was the one that got away. I think a couple of the Canuck PTOs like Owen Nolan, Danny the Kaiser. There's been some interesting ones in the past, but we'll see. I don't know if anyone as sexy this time, but hey, a couple of BC buds out there who the Canucks bring on as PTO. Speaking of BC buds, hey, it's almost 4:20, man. We better get out of here. Yeah. So shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners, the first-time listeners, the new subscribers, and those of you who join us on the live show on YouTube. We love each and every one of you, your families, and your dogs too. Again, if you like this video, it goes a long ways to Kyle and I going on double dates, getting Christmas gifts for our girls, and just doing more stuff for you here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. So subscribe, leave a review as well. We could use a couple more 5-star reviews. Spread the word, if you will. We'll be back maybe tomorrow or the next day here on Locked On Canucks. And remember, your Canucks almost every damn day. Let's go.
Peace, 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 peace.
Your